Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? This bright, sunny, cheerful Monday in October. Some bright sun, a little breeze going on right now. Temperatures are mild. Empathies and sympathies for those people getting ready to endure a 5th category level hurricane in the Bahamas, in Jamaica, in the Caribbean in general, and hopefully that storm will continue on its path into open ocean and not actually make landfall and cause all kinds of chaos to the folks living along the Gulf Coast and or the Atlantic coast. So we'll have to keep an eye on that to see what's happening. A lot of things have been going on since my return back. Some of that was getting reestablished, reposition in my day, re-energized, revitalized, all kinds of things. So I wanted to give you a fast update. Yes, we did go to the city council meeting in Ileton. That is now no longer my concern, but we did what we needed to do when we were there. We have the recording. We'll put that out. We've already put that out, sent that off to some folks to see what transpired. Nice thing about it is, one lady got up right behind me, and the first words out of her mouth, everything that man said was true. Oh, how embarrassing. But be that as it may, that's a little bit of braggadocious ego for you, speaking on that behalf. What I want to start with today is where we are at as a state in local issues. So let's start off with the low-hanging fruit, Prop 50. Depending on who you listen to, Prop 50 is failing. That's unfortunate. But then what do you expect? You have all kinds of people going paranoid about Prop 50. Oh, Prop 50, Prop 50. Oh my God, we're failing. You people got to get off your ass. Pardon the French. You have to get off your backsides. You have to get off your little tushies and put it in the mail because we told you so. A lot of people still vote in person. A lot of people are not going to change that position. They're going to vote in person. So Prop 50 is not a done deal. You're only about, 500,000 votes behind. 500,000 votes in a state that has 33 million people. 20 some odd which vote. Wow, you're paranoid over 500,000 votes up and down the entirety of the state. Election doesn't close until the 4th of November. We're still a few days away from that. So put a little faith out there. Pull up your big boy panties. Tighten your belts. Knuckle down. And encourage people to vote, whether it's in mail, by mail, or in person. Stop sounding like you're already defeated before the game's even freaking over. Jeez. Not that difficult to figure out, people. You're supposed to be the political pundits that know about all this stuff. Grow up. Second thing, I'm going to scare a couple of candidates here on the campaign trail that are Republicans, that the party said are leading, but who seem to be really afraid of the following name: GINO GAVIN Newsom. GINO GAVIN Newsom and his run for president. Oh my God, Leo, you said the evil word, his run for president. Yes, I did. And I want folks to hear and remember this. We're now having people in the political spectrum paranoid, skittish, afraid, quaking in their boots, thinking, looking, speaking, acting, and doing everything possible to talk about GINO Newsom and 2028's election cycle as he tries to position himself to run for president. While California's burning around our ears and he's doing everything possible to help crush this state, its spirit, and its goldenness, we're worried about 2028 instead of worried about 2025. I started my campaign run back in 2023, and I asked the question, where the hell are the Republican Party candidates? Because the demos are already fielding 3 or 4 for the governor's race. Hell, Leilani thinks that she's already got it. She just has to go through this BS process of voting, vetting, primaries, and everything else, but she was the anointed one till she fell out of favor. Harris stepped in, spooked her. She's now looking for treasurer. Hey, I survived her. That was a big name. I'm still in the race and you quit. You quit. Hee hee. Anyway, Harris left. Leilani's moved over. You got embarrassed, Democrats. Who did you cling to right away? Katie Porter. You clung on her like rice that's sticky. There's another phrase for that, but I won't use it here because people will be disgruntled to make all kinds of goofy accusations. Okay, that's fine, whatever. You pumped her up, threw her out there, and oh my God, there's the yo-yo. Woo, woo, woo. This is the one for us. She has to do nothing more than just stick her name out there, make a little bit of noise, smile, be purty, and she's got it. Case done. We just have to go through this goofy process of an election. That little petty, pesky thing called an election before she's anointed to the Democratic side of that's our next governor. And then Katie sat in front of the news reporter, Ms. Julie Watts, and made an ass of herself. And then other people glummed to some other videos about her continuing to make an ass of herself. And now the entire Democratic Party looks like a bunch of asses because they glummed onto this woman as if she was all that in a bag of chitlins. And lo and behold, they're embarrassed, and the whispers and the rumors are they're getting ready to throw her off to the side because they're looking stupid. Bottom line. What do we do? Oh my God, who do we go to now? So the demos are still in their conglomeration of don't know what to do next. They still have a bunch of people that are all go green. Check my box for the ethnicity box. That's why I'm running ethnicity. Got to check that box. Who do we put up there? Well, we don't know. Media can't support them. They don't know who to pick because they all sound alike. But Sarah's coming in. Ooh, another Halloween surprise. Woohoo. Who cares? They're in a turmoil and a mess. But let's focus on Republicans. Because in 2023, I was told it's too early to worry about a governor's race, Leo. We're not focused on that. It's 2023. What are you tripping about? Probably because the governor's race is highly important right now. Our idiot GINO GAVIN is being termed out of office. We actually have an opportunity, as they say, to strike while the iron is hot. To put somebody that's meritable, that is good, that is decent, that has a plan to pull our proverbial fat out of the fryer. Well, it's too early, Leo. We're not going to worry about that. Okay. 2024 rolls around. Now you got about 6 to 8 Democrats on the tickets. What are we doing, Republicans? Where are we going with this? What's the plan? We're not worried about that, Leo. It's still too early. It's not even on the radar. There's 8 of them, and you're not worried. No, we're not worried. No big deal. 2025 rolls around. Halloween surprise. What are we going to do? Well, we got some Republicans standing up. Bianco stood up. Or he was coached, one or the other. I and a few other people had already stood up, but we're not the names that the party wants because we don't sell tickets. So remember this little footnote. Ding, 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 ding. Footnote. Ronald Reagan says you don't attack fellow Republican candidates. It's not a good thing. Doesn't look good. It's not the polite thing to do. It's the unwritten rule. Okay, it's a good rule back then, but we're in the 21st century. And the first thing our party has done is attack any candidate who is not Chad Bianco or Steve Hilton by simply omitting the fact that they're even running or considering to run in the race. You go around this state, nobody knows except those 2 people that that's how many are running on the Republican side, and that's not true. There are 25 plus names on the Republican side. I'm one of them. Be that as it may, let's continue. So Bianco stands his little hand up, says, I'm going to run. The party piles in behind him. Here's our guy. We're going to anoint him for you, the voter, to pick the candidate that they have selected. They have selected, not you, not me, not us, they. And on the first podcast with Miss Kim Yater, Mr. Bianco was there. Leo Zaki was there. That's the other Leo in the race. Leo Naranjo, that's me. I'm in that meeting. I'm on that podcast. I'm in that call. And each of us had an hour to extend our positions, give you an idea of who we are and where we stand, what we're looking for, what we're looking to do, and why we're running. And at the end of that first podcast, The die was cast. Oh my, Miss Yater took Mr. Bianco to task and dogged him with some things that Mr. Bianco is very uncomfortable with responding to. Now, this was after he had just gotten done, or shortly thereafter gotten done, a mini debate that Fox 11 News from down in the LA area put him up and put him opposite of Mr. Tony Thurman, one of the Democrat candidates for governor, who's also the superintendent of public education in California, the director of public education. I think that was about 30 minutes in telecast. And at the end of it, first off, it was very difficult and painful to watch, but I did, and I endured it, and I sat through the whole thing, and I watched a third-string candidate rip our number one guy to shreds. Embarrassing. But this is the guy. This is the man. During Kim Yeater's podcast, the man himself boldly explained and exclaimed, "I'm the only candidate that can win. I know it. You know it. They're going to know it. Everybody knows it. Vote for me. Fall out. Vote for me. Stand behind me, and I'm going to win. Unless Mel Gibson jumps in the race, and then I'm going to have to re-look at my position." You just told the world on a podcast, televised and recorded, that you were the guy that was going to win no matter the opponent until Mel Gibson jumped in. Then you would have to reevaluate your position. What the hell did that even mean? And at the time, up until that moment of time, Mel Gibson was but a whisper, and it was a real faint one. Nobody coalesced around Mel Gibson jumping into the race. Nobody with any political credentials would utter his name except to the four winds and the dark corners of conversation. It was rumored, but nobody knew until you made the bold statement, and I started pushing the envelope to find out how true it was, and lo and behold, the party was getting ready to jump in the Mel Gibson bandwagon. "100% behind Mel Gibson. Yes, he's going to be our guy, the Republican guy. You just threw out the sheriff for the actor, Mel Gibson. He's going to be the guy." If you had any sense before you made that utterance, you would have back-checked your guy and looked at his history to find out he was more damaged than Mr. Bianco. And somebody must have found out, because suddenly Mel Gibson said, "I'm not running. I have a movie to make in Italy." Well, that kind of caught everybody by surprise, because nobody expected that one. That was the April surprise that caught the political pundits off guard. And even one of the current candidates stated there was a shock and a ripple effect that caused for 1 month, generally April, that everybody was silent on the race. No political noise at all, nothing. It was dead silence, silence of the grave. Pop! Here comes Steve Hilton. "Oh boy, we got a new one, a new toy, a bright, shiny object. This guy's great. Oh my goodness, Leo, you don't understand. He's charismatic. He had a Fox News show. He was a policymaker in England. He's rich. He looks good. He got a little cute hair. He's our guy." Steve Hilton's still the guy too. He's just not as supportive as the party putting their weight behind Steve Hilton. Steve's making rounds. He's going all over the place. Woohoo! Yeah, buddy. So is Sheriff Bianco. But we don't hear too much about him because Steve is our guy. And then the questions started to arise about our guy. Now, mind you, remember, Ronald Reagan said we don't attack political candidates. You have to abide by that unwritten rule because A, you're a nobody candidate. B, nobody knows that you're a candidate. And C, we don't want you attacking our guy. So then let's just ask questions about your guy. Observations and visuals. An observation is something that you see and perceive. I saw the car driving down the road. Okay. The visual is what's in your mind as the picture. The car had 4 wheels and an engine and no body. That's the visual. Gentleman is a dual citizen. No, I'm not. I renounced my citizenship. Funny, that's not what the Brits have stated. That's not what the British media has stated. You're a dual citizen. No forms submitted to that government have been proven or shown that you renounced British citizenship for American citizenship. Observation. You have policy experience. Hell, I got policy experience all day long for over 30 plus years of policies, Army policies, county policies, state policies, federal policies, security policies. We got policy experience days long too. But yours is from the British government because you helped that government form their policies. That's the visual. Yes, you did. Look where England is at today. Go back and read the history of your involvement with policymaking in that country and see some of the writings that have been attributed to your policy involvement. 2. Third question is, now we've got this Prop 50 thing. Oh my God, Leo, that's the only thing we're worried about is Prop 50. Prop 50, Prop 50, Prop 50. Prop 50. You can't talk to anybody in political power about anything other than Prop 50. What about the governor's race, sir or ma'am? Where are we on that? Don't care. It's Prop 50. Well, who's our candidates for the governor? Where do they stand there? We don't care, Leo. It's Prop 50. Interesting. Prop 50 seems to not be going very well. Depending on who you ask, Prop 50 was not supposed to be the albatross of the Republican Party. It was supposed to be the impact of the entire state. Lo and behold, it went to the neck of the Republican Party, and now it's an albatross. The new groups are mad because the old groups won't get off their little tushies and vote the way the new groups want them to vote, which is by mail. While you're saying it's corrupt. While you're telling us that the voting process is suspect. You want everybody to dump their mail and their ballots into the mail system that you yourself claim is not secure. Well, what the hell one is it? Vote by mail or don't vote by mail? Disclaimer and a footnote for those people, yes. I, Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor in 2026, am encouraging you to vote as you decide to vote. That's comfortable for you. If it's mail, fine. As long as you vote, fill out the box the way it's supposed to be filled. Don't forget to sign it. Very important. Seal it, tape it extra just to make sure. Drop that puppy in the envelope and the envelope into the mailbox to your post office, to your voting booth center, wherever it is you feel comfortable at. If you want to do it in person, by all means, go do that too. Be in person. Everybody knows you go in person, not to vote generally, but for the sticker. Remember that year we didn't have stickers and there was a problem at the polling station? Yeah, I do. People got pissed. I voted, but I want that damn sticker. Yeah, I remember that day, and I remember those days. It's all about the sticker. But that's a side note. So just make sure you vote, folks. Vote no on Prop 50. It's the right thing to do. It's a good thing to do, but do it the way that you decide to do it, not because somebody told you to do it. I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm encouraging you to vote. Big difference. Again, back to the subject at hand. What are we going to do now, party? We have candidates. Oh my God, we got like 30 Democrats now running for office, and about 20 of them are big names. What are we doing? We don't care about what's happening, Leo. This is about Prop 50. The governor's race is next year, 2026. primaries in June, which is about 7 to 8 months away. We don't care about that. It's Prop 50. Okay, fine. Prop 50. Woo-hoo, Prop 50. Be glad when that damn day gets passed so we can start asking the questions on when we're going to be worried about the governor's race. But now the talk is about the presidential race. One of our own candidates is fearful about Mr. Newsom and his presidential aspirations. So let's go back to that candidate where I stopped on question 2, observation. If you recall, there was a big push about Prop 50, and this gentleman, savior of California, knows everything there is to know about our state. Hasn't been here very long. Got a Republican candidate says his child has been born and living on this planet in California longer than our top candidate has been a citizen. Third observation, a little embarrassing, but that's okay. So he decided this particular candidate, the one that the party is pushing, the guy that thinks he's in the polls leading everybody with 20%, it's not what all of them say. Observation. If you want to start believing polls, let me remind you for the little history note we're about to entertain. Polls. Today, this is what they're telling you. If you're all in for polls and those are the bottom line, everything about polls is correct, answer me this. Why the hell is Hillary Clinton, was she not our president in 2016? The polls said she was supposed to win. Why the hell was Donald Trump not our president in 2020? The polls said he was supposed to win. So when we start talking about polls, be very careful when you start hearing numbers coming from them. Polls are made and created by certain folks who want to see people's opinions. Sometimes they're bought and paid for by people who have the money to buy a poll and skew numbers in their favor. I used to work at a polling station too. I used to work at a poll place, call center, matter of fact. We can contact 50,000 people, but only have 50 that take all the time to answer questions. How many people do you think are listed in the results? 50. What happened to the other 4,950 that didn't want to do anything in conversation? They hung up on us. We don't include them in the number count, but they're a very important part of the number count because they didn't want to be bothered. That you could probably ascertain to be your no party preference or undecided. So here we are in the polls again. Back in the polls. 2 legislatures in California, 2 lawmakers in California, 2 individuals who knew their way around the laws in the state of California. They sued, marched it up to state court, and they lost, and their lawsuit got thrown out. But this gentleman, he knows more than they did. He filed a lawsuit in federal court. He figured that out because the other people couldn't. Observation there is, were the other people inept, incompetent? They didn't know. They weren't as smart as they pretended to be. The new Republican Party glory boy, the candidate that they've picked for us, did he know everything there was needed to know about California law, that suddenly he knew the difference between state laws and federal laws? Leave that for you to figure out. He filed a federal lawsuit, 4th of September. 4th of September. Woo-hoo. We're going to sue. We're going to stop this Prop 50 thing because that's the right thing to do. I'm going to sue in federal court because I know. Here's a blank lawsuit that he presented. Blank in the way and in the format of, you had all the language prepped up like you were filing something. What you lacked were the date stamps, the judge's signature and stamp, the court's signature and stamp, the case number and the stamp, and all the other stamps and signatures needed to say that, yes, you officially filed something in the court system. 20 days to respond. 20 days to respond. And by the 21st of September, I started to ask that question again. Where are we in this lawsuit process? And the answer was, well, it was a Biden judge that agreed to let it go through, but he gave us the date of the 16th. We're going to fight that. Okay. The B picked it up. They asked questions, and the courts didn't know what they were talking about. It went to Governor Newsom's group that said we don't respond to lawsuits that aren't properly filed. What does that mean? Not properly filed, but you're supposed to respond within 20 days. The man claims he's filed it. No, that's not what GINO's staff was saying. That's not what a few others were saying either. But our main guy said that he filed it. The courts had already decided it's going to be pushed off till the 16th. He's going to fight that. Meanwhile, he's galvanizing around the state just like a happy camper, visiting, telecommuting, I guess you could say, propping up the happiness and the go-go stuff and the Austin Powers, if you want to go down that way, smiling, rubbing shoulders with all the bigwig people. And he comes out and says, oh, we really fought hard about this. Oh, no, we got that date changed. We got that date changed to the 6th of November. And we're not happy with that date. We're going to fight it to get it earlier because this is a Biden-appointed judge that's screwing us over. Here we are, 4 days before the end of the month, and the last thing that you've heard about this so-called lawsuit to stop Prop 50, the most important thing on the radar of the Republican Party, the most important thing in conversation right now, the most important thing on anybody's mind in the political world in California. Hell, we're even making it into the federal viewpoint because we got Obama involved, Ocasio involved, Bernie involved, the White House involved. Everybody's involved in Prop 50. Our top guy comes out and says last week he's mad. There's a Biden-appointed judge that's going to throw out the case on Friday, and we're not going to let it happen. What did you do? What did you do to stop it? What did you do to alter it? What did you do, sir, to present a different opinion of what you'd like that case to do? Because today's Monday. Friday of last week at 5 p.m., according to your declarations, that court case was thrown out. We've yet to see as the public the state, the documentations that you submitted it, that it was adjudicated, that it was signed by anybody, dated by anybody, date stamped by anybody, provided a court case number, provided a court address, room, judge, or anything else. But according to you, the case got thrown out last Friday. Observation 5. Instead, you post a video about being down on the coast in the evening time having dinner and then suddenly being up in Sierra County at breakfast time. Didn't look like you were bothered, lacking sleep. Looked like you were well refreshed and well dressed for your tour of California. You didn't drive that, so you must have flown. That's an observation from me and my personal opinion commentary. But we've still not seen anything on this court date, and here we are 2.5 days after that, and you still, on your listings, your postings, and your X tweets, have not said a thing about that case being dropped. No appeal, no challenge, no nothing. Still haven't shown the forms. Observation 6, this is in my humble opinion. If you're lying to the public about something so mundane as filing a court challenge to a proposition in the federal level, if you lied about that, doing it, following it, tracking it, supposedly fighting it, being stymied, being delayed until finally being thrown out, and it comes to pan that nothing was ever done on the behalf of the California citizens or the state to impede, slow, or derail Prop 50, you said you filed a court case, and it turns out that was all just a bunch of smoke and mirrors? If you did that on the campaign trail that we can always just easily blow off as part of the political game, Leo, you need to know how to play the game. My challenge to people that even bring that crap up is this. That's gamemanship? Really? If you lied about something that easy, what in the hell do you think What in the hell would we have to expect from you on something that's difficult were you to be governor? What would you lie upon then? What would you lie about then? And what would it cost us with your lie? Well, we didn't mean to turn off all the oil, and I was fighting them every step of the way. I wanted to stop Go Green, but, it didn't work out that way. It's a Biden-appointed judge that threw out our case. And that's why your gas prices suddenly shot up to $9 a gallon. Hey, it's part of the politic game. That's the sixth observation that I've made on this gentleman who's being sauced up by our party to be the guy that's going to defeat the Democratic field for the governorship of California. Two of them that they're pushing on us, while they've attacked every other candidate that's thrown his or her name into the ring that stated they're going to be in the race, that they are willing to do what's needed to be in the race, that they're going forward to be in the race. You don't hear about those people because as far as the party and the state and the media are concerned, they don't exist. Just like you, the listener, are not relevant to any conversation they're having until November the 4th. That's when they expect you to vote. That's when they expect you to vote for one of the two candidates they have selected for you. And if you don't know about the other candidates, well, on one hand, shame on you for not looking, but on the other hand, shame on them for not putting out all the names, whether they like to or not. Here's the field, vet them all out, and you decide. This is an election process, not an anointing of who they want to do what they'd like to do to this state. We already have problems in this state, and they seem to be getting exasperated. Somebody's already mentioning and making hay about how do we stop Newsom on his last 8 months in office. You don't. You can't. You've already gone past that window. You've listened to people tell you trying to recall him before his termed out election is pointless. My God, people, you didn't get the clue. It's going to cost you $300 million to have a recall election. Randy Economy stood up there. I stood up there. A lot of other folks stood up there on the state capitol. We needed to have enough signatures to qualify for the ballot in September. And everybody interfered, saying it was a waste of time. And look where we're at today. Part of the speech I gave about this whole process on that recall election was to get rid of that man 8 months earlier to mitigate the damage he's doing to California. Instead, we're now stuck with him for 8 more months until he gets thrown out because of term limits. You ever seen a squatter get forced out of the home that the squatter believes is theirs, that the real homeowners know it isn't? What happens? Especially if you got a pissed off squatter? They gut that house. They destroy that home. And what do you think GINO's doing to California? We just recently saw something on the news today. Food stamps. That's another good one. Woo, I used to do the food stamp program for a long time in the county. Yep. That deadline has passed too. Saturday, the 25th of October. If they didn't open up the government and start pushing the money through, guess what was going to happen in November? No funding. And guess what was going to happen in the month of November also? Plus maybe the month of October before the last week. Newsom called up the guard in an effort to stymie President Trump and now has them helping put food boxes together in LA County. Seriously? You could have went to the churches to do that. You could have went to the media to do that, to solicit the public to volunteer their time to help their communities downtrodden. But instead, you saddled the state with people who are now having to be paid as activated guard members because you wanted to screw Trump. Seventh observation. This was supposed to be a nonpartisan political action against Prop 50. It turned into a political showboat case of them versus us, Demos versus Republicans, MAGA versus the anti-Trumpsters. Now we have a candidate that has boldly said on a podcast he went to, probably the first one, "Ooh, Tuck and Doug, I'm in and out. I'm going to show up, but I'm not going to let you ask me questions because you would embarrass me, and we're not going to let that happen. My name is going to make America golden again, and this is how we're going to do it because I said so. Oh, gotta go. I'm meeting with the Pope at 4 p.m. See ya, pooh, and off they go. Stamps ain't coming, folks, unless the federal government does something in an emergency. Gavin's activated the guard, put us a little bit more in debt right now. Trump goes up, he goes down. Trump turns left, Newsom goes right. Pundits are screaming we're losing the Prop 50 vote. I can't imagine why, because when I hear the ads on TV, when I hear the talk, when I see the posters on X, this is what I'm taking from it. Stop Trump. Block Trump. F Trump. Hate Trump. You've galvanized 2/3 of this state to do everything opposite of common sense. And now, sir, you've taken to the airwaves and told everybody you're behind the Trumpster 1,000%. MAGA all the way. How are we going to overcome that issue that you've just handed to the Democrats as the key talking point against Republican candidates that embrace the president lock, stock, and barrel 1,000%? That's an observation. Leo, you're an idiot. You don't understand. Am I? Really? What's it going to take for me to understand? 2.5 years from now to have me stand here in front of the so-called smart people to tell you how right I was or how right I am and how wrong you were? Damage is done. It's a little bit too late for that. And that's the first defensive thing that you'll say right off the bat. Well, there's nothing we can do now. Hell, we've lost it. Used to have people tell me in the military, why are you dealing with this problem now? Nothing wrong. I said, there's nothing wrong. I'm sorry, Sarge, let me explain it to you. The fuse for the next 50 feet is going towards the big bottle of black powder to make an explosion. Why don't we cut the fuse now before it lights the big barrel of black powder and blows up and then gives us 5 times more problems to deal with? Leo, we're not going to worry about that right now. Boom. Oh my God, we got to fix this. Yeah, but now you're taking 10 times more resources to do it. All you had to do was snip the cord. 9. Observation point number 9. The 8th of November in San Marcos, California. Kim Yater, take your power back. Candidates for governor are going to be present. 13 of us. I have to think about that a little bit. 13 candidates. Wow, that's a weird number, right? 13? We already know we think about 13. You don't have a 13th floor, but you got 13 candidates showing up for a governor debate. Look at it this way. We had 13 colonies, got 13 governors. That's one way to look at it. If you notice from previous posters, you used to have somebody very prominent there on those flyers. Yes, indeed. From the biggest county that he controls or provides law enforcement duties to, I should say. Not controls, provides law enforcement duties to. The most expensive person we're paying for in California, $620,000 a year. If all the sheriffs were paid equally, if all the departments had their department budget of $1.2 billion, 1/3 of our cost would be in the state of California. Over $37 billion would be devoted to supporting sheriffs and their deputies and their jurisdictions up and down this state before anything else was paid, bought for, or even considered. Take that into consideration on what we're buying and what we're paying and what you folks, especially in Riverside, are paying for. Your sheriff running around the state on your time campaigning. Still something fundamentally wrong with that. But hey, that's me. What do I know, right? Yeah, okay. Kamala Harris was getting in the race. Those two people panicked. Kamala Harris thought she was going to run for governor. They were panicked. They saw their own shadow and they got scared until she dropped out, and now they're back to standing up and being brave again. I think I was the only candidate. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I was the only candidate who yelled at the top of his lungs on media, on Yahoo, on Twitter, on the news, on MSNBC articles, on B articles, everywhere and anywhere. I wanted to see that woman run in this state for governor of California. And I wanted that shot to debate with her for governorship of California. Well, you know, stuff happens. So that's not going to take place. But we have a debate coming up on the 8th of November, and lo and behold, whose name, whose face is no longer on the posters? The man that claimed he was the only one that could win this state, everybody knows it, and they need to bow out and just anoint him. He has run from a Republican debate with Republican candidates in Southern California. The observation is you've knelt to a mob, you ran from a debate with your counterparts, you ran towards a whacked out woman because you feel the need to want to debate with her, no matter how touched she is. The optics there I'll leave to your own imagination. But now the word is you got caught in a debate with Democrats in Stockton, California, not more than 3 days ago. Mr. Thurman, Ms. Yee, and Mr. Villaraigosa. What did you talk about? Homelessness, Green Party stuff, go green, the environment, and global warming. Things I'm pretty sure you're quite capable of debating. Except again, Tony Thurman's already handed you your backside once. I can't imagine you coming out of that debate down there smelling any better than you did the first time. In my political opinion, expertise or not, I leave that for the pundits to figure out. Your guy, who used to be your guy, that you still cling to as your guy because he sells tickets for CRA and Central Committee functions. He sells tickets, sells out tickets for dinners and local events, has decided not to attend a Republican debate. On one hand, Mr. Bianco's team says he refuses to show. On the other hand, Mr. Bianco's team supposedly has told individuals it's a scheduling conflict and he wasn't made aware of the event until too late to alter his schedule. You folks figure out the truth on what happened. That's the observation. This is the optics. You ran from a debate. You cowered in the face of a debate. You pulled a Kamala Harris before the first vote was cast in her presidential election, and you quit the field. But you knelt to a mob. What would you do, sir, if you really were governor in this state and it really did get a little bit too warm in the kitchen? How fast would you run then? And what excuse would you give the public? Here's where we're at. You've now pressured your former running mate, or not running mate, but you've pressured the other glorified Republican candidate And I'll use the word over because nobody else knows who anyone else running is. They only know about these two gentlemen. So now you've put that individual in a very difficult place. Will he show up? My humble opinion, I don't think so. Or will he not show up? Supposedly, according to his poll numbers, he's up 20 points. Why would he need to? Pundits will tell you that. Why would you put yourself in a threatened position to debate with anybody when you're ahead in the polls? That would be unwise. That would be kind of suicidal. You would have to answer questions you might not want to answer. And in this debate, we ain't going to be talking about growing petunias in California. There are some questions that are going to be asked that people don't want asked, or these so-called journalist media types and pundit types and party types are softballing you questions so that you can do the fancy-pantsy Las Vegas magic show routine, and then you can cut out because you have a prior engagement. Be professional enough to clear your calendar. You've known about this engagement for a while. It's here, it's coming, and it's real. If you got a prior engagement, let's call it what it is. Political gamemanship, because you have to run from the field of adversity. That's what the first one has done. Let's see if the second one does the same thing. Run from the field of adversity. I'm looking forward to this debate. And as a matter of fact, I'm looking forward to this forum because the word debate was first whispered. Now it's being out there as a debate/forum. Ask the tough questions. Put it to the test. Put your candidates to the test. Make them come up with answers. If you don't show up, it's because of a couple of reasons that come to mind. One of them is because you think you're too good for the people to be on that stage with. That should tell you to vote or something right there. Unless you're part of the 1% group, and then you won't care, you'll probably agree with the sentiment. But don't forget, many of those people have left California, and they weren't part of the Republican 1%. They were part of the Demo 1%. You don't feel like answering tough questions, which is why you decide that you don't want to attend. How does that look for candidates? For you to run away from Republican candidates who are under some fanciful unwritten rule that we're not going to savage one another, because I'm sorry, once your name gets into the ring for real between December and March, what do you think the other side is going to do who don't have the same platitudes or the same unwritten rule? They're going to destroy or attempt to destroy the Republican side. And if you aren't up to it because you want to talk about daisies, teas, and crumpets, I don't know what to tell you. Here's another reason, but that's a personal one, and I'll just keep it to myself for right now. That's the visual. You folks can come up with your own determination of what you expect from candidates who are coming up to a debate forum that you want to know. And there's a lot of people out there in political party organizations who, while they can't travel down to San Marcos as much as we would like them to, because being there in person is preferable, but I understand if you can't make it, I get it. Watch parties. I've had a member of Marin County ask me about watch parties. I've asked the question about watch parties, and now I have contact information, which I'll be putting out a little bit later this afternoon to as many groups as I can. If you can't make it, host, have, and participate in a watch party. If you can't be there in person, be there in some other way, but just be there. Know who you're dealing with. Know what you're dealing with. Don't let these people decide and determine who you need to vote for. That's not called an election, that's called an anointment. And regardless of the party position on that statement and that question and that stance, my thing is this: we don't anoint elected leaders. We elect them because they have to earn your trust, to earn your vote to be in office. And the last thing I want to talk about, we're on that topic of offices, Republicans and Democrats. When in the hell did we start accepting Democrats who come over to the Republican side solely because their field is packed and they need to win an election, so they switch parties? This is being seen numerous times. People change parties, I get it. People change mentalities, I understand that. But these so-called swap outs for political expediency, don't tell me again about the problems we have in our party with sellouts, rhinos, undercover demos, and anything else when we're allowing the process. And we have a person who's doing just that in LA, that we now have a youngster representative by the name of David T. I'm not going to sauce up his last name, but you know who I'm talking about, fully endorsing the man who just went off of the Democratic ticket to the Republican ticket so he could run in the LA County area, who has just engaged me, of all people, in a conversation about illegal aliens, ICE, and how he ran his sheriff's department. Mr. Villanueva, God bless you for doing what you're doing. But we, sir, are on two different agendas and two different paths. I'm running for the governor of the state of California, not for everybody. I'm running for the citizens of this state. You have a different viewpoint than I am. But that was your question to me. As governor, aren't you supposed to represent everybody fairly? Yes, I will represent everybody fairly in California that's a legal U.S. citizen and or going through the process to become one. You're correct. But if you're here illegally, if you were here past the time frame you should have left, if you are here because you skated by, got through, or rode on the coattails of somebody to access our nation and this state in particular, no, I'm not representing. I'm not representative of you, and I'm not representing you. Your country of origin represents you. You have a problem calling 911 because you fear deportation. That's probably because you're here illegally. Because everybody that I'm aware of that makes a call to 911 gets a response and they get the help they need, deportation never comes into mind. That's because they're citizens, sir, or they're here legally, sir. I'm not challenging you. I don't need to. You've already made it quite clear where your stance is on the question of illegal aliens in this nation, unauthorized persons who've been allowed entry by other than legal means. Call it the Biden surge, call it the Obama look pass, call it the amnesty given by presidential people long ago, call it whatever it is you want to call it. If they're not here as full-blown U.S. citizens, they should not be here and should be returned to their home nation. So yes, I have an issue with that, and I took that issue up on the internet to ask the Republican Party that question. When the hell did we start changing party affiliation nilly-willy, and it was an okay thing for our party to accept? And then we turn around on the other hand and complain to people about rigged elections, gerrymandered districts, rhinos running up and down the convention halls, etc., etc., etc. You've just allowed that to happen with this endorsement by Mr. David to Mr. Villanueva. Maybe you should relook at that endorsement. Maybe you should relook at that relationship. Maybe you should relook at that individual and his entering the Republican Party before you start throwing your full-blown weight behind him. Look at the stances he's had previous. And oh, by the way, that Caruso guy or Grinnell or whichever one is coming out of LA that you're whispering in the background that you want to support as the next governor because he's uber rich and you think that one's going to get you across the line, think long and hard about that one. That gentleman started as a Republican. He went no party preference. And then not only did he become a Democrat, he supported them fully. Harris and Biden knee deep with that camp. And he's thinking about flopping over again because his side of the house, the Democrat side, has too many candidates. So he'll just mosey on over to our side so he can get in to do what? first and foremost for the citizens of this state. I haven't changed that stance since 2023 when I first declared. I haven't changed that stance in all of 2024 when I started talking to groups, individuals, and organizations. I haven't changed that stance today, nor will that stance be changed as of tomorrow. Same stance. Once in a lifetime opportunity for California to get it right in 2026. I've made that very clear in my opening remarks to run for California State Governor. Republicans have an opportunity. Republicans have the ability to put two party, not one, two, in the top two of the jungle primary. We have that ability to do so. You want to play the numbers game? I'll play the numbers game with you. Hell, I'm a numbers game guy. It's kind of funny when you're sitting with the union discussing money and politics and stances that when they started throwing out numbers, all of my membership passed the information to me to crunch the numbers. So I'm pretty assured in me, in my abilities to crunch numbers and give you a potential outcome. Two people are possible in this race, unless you pooch it and screw it up like you're trying to do. This isn't about how many offices you've held. This isn't about how many races you've been in. This isn't about how much money you can raise. Again, one of the top candidates has never held office in the United States of America, much less California. He and I are on equal footing. One of us has no inklings, using your definition, of how government works. You and I are on equal footing, sir. How much money can you raise? As much as you give them and as much as you deny me. But then again, that question's easily resolved. How much do you think it takes to buy the governorship of California? Carly Fiorina couldn't do it with $140 million of her own money. I'm pretty sure the guy running right now damn well ain't going to do it with barely $2 million raised. So what is the magic number? That takes care of that question. In my mind, you have to be convinced and convincing. You have to be positive and inspirational. You have to have the courage to have people stand up and do what they're not normally inclined to do right now after so many years of being browbeaten and accepting mediocrity and defeatism as the norm. You have to encourage folks to look deep in themselves and find what they want California to be, not just accept what it is and change it. You have to have a platform that you believe in, unlike Mr. Dolly's platform when we saw him in front of Gavin Newsom crumble because it seemed like he didn't believe half of what he was saying on that so-called radio debate. Candidate drops names. I've dropped a few names too, but they're names that you don't want dropped and you don't like the situation that they found themselves in. But that's fact and reality. Deal with it. Be convincing. Inspire folks. Encourage folks. Have that plan to move forward, not just platitudes and BS pronouncements. I'm looking for progress. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for prosperity, not mediocrity. You want to settle for $3 a gallon for gas and think you've done something positive for the state? Georgia was at $2.48 in a Costco in a little town by Jonesboro, Georgia. $2.48 a gallon. For you truckers out there, I think the number I caught for diesel was around $3.35, maybe $3.40 a gallon. Compare that to California. Do the math on your own and figure out how many times you fill up, how many times your gallon cost filled you up, and then look at what I'm shooting for to save you compared to what the promise is. Promise, mind you. I don't use the word promise. I don't use the word guarantee. There's a reason for that. We're going to fight for $3 a gallon for gas. That's the guy over there on my left. Go with him if that's what you want. I'm looking for $2.48 or less. Go with me if that's what you think that we can get to. And that's what I aspire to be, is to get us to that level or lower. But I'm not going to settle for nonsense of $3 and call it, ooh, I did the best I could. No, you just did something to appease somebody and you moved it along. That's called mediocrity. That's not called winning. Military, we call that half-ass. So there's my thing. There's my video. It's long. My apologies, as always. Hey, what can I say? I'm part of the arthritic club, ibuprofen group. If you saw that t-shirt from Charlie Simons' podcast with me wearing it, yes, sir. I've got a huge sense of humor when I'm allowed to express it. And I'm also very serious when the time and the need calls for it. And this is the time and the need for it. Once in a lifetime, ladies and gentlemen, opportunity to change this state at the governor's level. And we have to take it serious. We can't have these excuses of it's too far, it's too far, it's too far, until at the last minute, oh my God, we lost. But hey, at least we lost by 20 points instead of 40. The bottom line is you lost, sir, ma'am. Because you put a half-baked candidate in there with half-baked ideas that's reminiscent of a sideshow, magic show in Las Vegas. And we've already seen that for over 30 years. Failure after failure after failure. Look where we're at. Look at the last couple of weeks of where we're going. Look what the legislature is doing to us. Look at that building down there at the state that nobody knows how much it's costing, but now all of a sudden we know it's over $1 billion. Where the hell did that number come from? Who found it? Better yet, who leaked it? If there's NDAs in place, somebody's in trouble. And the trucking industry, August 13th, 12th to the 13th is when we had the first problem with California over-the-road driver's licenses when one of our truckers killed 3 people in Florida. Do you remember that? I do. Because within a week, I popped off a letter to Governor DeSantis in Florida apologizing for the failures of my state, the absenteeism of our legislature, and the ineptness of our governor on what transpired to his state. Asking that we do not crucify California drivers or California because of the gamesmanship our state local government is playing with the feds. In case you missed that letter, I'll repost it again online so that you can see it and get the good memory about what I'm talking about. And told you back then this would get really bad really fast if nothing got changed. Now we have another accident, only this time in Southern California, much closer to home. Bunch of people died in it. Yep, they sure did. Did I write a letter to those folks? No, I sure didn't. Don't need to. Didn't need to. The point was already made. There's a problem in licensing in California. There's a problem with illegals in California. Listen to the platitudes that is being spoken of today. It's not the fault of the California DMV. It's certainly not the fault of GINO GAVIN Newsom. It is the fault of the federal government because those folks were allowed under their program that they've passed, that they approved for that man to get a license out of California. What's missing from that conversation is the words President Biden's government. Now it's the federal government, i.e. and ergo, Trump's government. I'm going to reach out again to the Punjabi Trucking Association, Mr. Dillon, I believe it is. Surprisingly enough, he saddled up with the demos. His drivers are getting harassed. And he's assured me the ones that he's supporting are legal with everything they're required to do. Just had Harmeet Dillon put out a post about people taking advantage of the racial profiling and targeting Sikhs just because of who they are, whether they're here legally or not, and attacking, approaching them, and harassing them. And Miss Dillon, I agree. I said as much. I stated that this would transpire if nothing got fixed. I've stated there would be impacts if nothing got fixed. Went to that trucking agency. One that wanted to talk, the other ones, politely blow off. on what was getting ready to happen, and here we are. I'll be posting to her on X and making sure I splash it to everybody to know the understanding and the implications of what's moving forward. But we have to make changes, people. We have to have things happen in California for corrections. To the federal authorities, my pledge has been, as I stated to Governor DeSantis, and as I stated to Secretary Duffy, and will state here and now for Ms. Dillon, and continue to state, should I be elected governor to this state, we're going to gut and revamp DMV. We're going to align with what we need to do to put people safely in the seats of big rigs for them to move commerce up and down our state and our nation, especially coming out of California. I need you to do your part as federal authorities to tighten up your rules and regulations so we don't have these games played. Well, he said it was okay. Well, no, he's a Republican. He said it's not okay. Well, today he's a Republican that says it's okay, but that's a Democrat that says it's not okay, and so we just did what we did because it's okay. And people are losing their lives over gamesmanship and stupidity. What was that phrase earlier mentioned? But Leo, that's why nobody likes you, because you don't play the game. This is a game, ladies and gentlemen. There are 6 people dead in Florida, 3 people dead in Florida, and at least 3 people dead here in California, countless others throughout the nation over this quote-unquote game. Let it be a game with your family mangled by an 18-wheeler, and then tell me how much of the game you'd like to continue to play under the circumstances. I'm pretty sure you would go 51-50 on me, because it wouldn't be a game to you if your loved ones were now part of the pavement as opposed to standing next to you. What is a governor candidate supposed to do under these situations? Very few of my counterparts are even talking about this. The top 2 barely mention it, because they're reading off the placards, they're reading off the place cards, they're reading templates. And they're looking good, and they're sounding good, and they're selling tickets. What have they mentioned about the debacle that's happening in DMV and driver's license and political BS that's taking place between Trump and Newsom? Nothing that I can find. Somebody correct me and post it if I'm missing something, but I haven't seen either one of the so-called top 2 mention, tackle, or take on this problem. I have. Hell, I'm a nobody, and I have. I figured out that that's what you should at least do as a governor. Tortoise in the hare, people. Tortoise in the hare. And I don't have rabbit ears. And I'm still moving forward. In spite being frozen out by my party. In spite being frozen out by my counterparts. In spite being heckled, harassed, or harangued by rich people who think I should drop out because they said so. In spite being encouraged by other rich people to drop out or to form a slate, which basically goes nowhere in California because they said so. I have a young lady right now that we're waiting until the 8th of November, very rich young lady, $200 million in the bank, according to the online reports, who wanted to run for governor in July, but for some reason never threw her hat in. That young lady is good to go with the cap and trade issue. I'm not. I'm going to get rid of cap and trade. That young lady seems to be okay with some amnesty for illegals. I'm not, because I want to get that taken care of for the state level. Vastly different opinions. She's uber rich, and I'm not. But she's encouraging me to drop. Well, Leo, we'll have to see what happens on the 8th of November. Yes, we will, ma'am. We will see what happens on the 8th of November. You're either going to be in my camp, or you're going to be buying and paying your way to get in somebody else's camp and supporting them that are more aligned with your views, which seem to be slightly opposite of the rest of the state. I get it. While we're on different sides of the argument, please remind me what's happened in Palisades since we last spoke. What happened in Palisades since I saw you at the Capitol steps on the Recall Gavin Newsom event? What's happened in that area? Not a damn thing. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in that area should I become governor. Those excuses are going to stop, and those actions to fix those zones, rebuild those homes, take out that mess, remove that garbage is going to take place, along with the investigations on where the hell a lot of that money went, and we're going to find out who pooched the water supply under whose authority and orders. But we're not going to play the I'm just following orders. That's what they told me to do, and I did blindly. You still have responsibility as an official who was elected to your position to account to the public. If it's morally repugnant, maybe you should have stepped forward. But there's going to be fixes. I can assure you of that. And the funny part about that is most of those people aren't even Republicans. So I'm going to help rebuild the demo area for people who hate me, but at least they'll get back into their homes, because that is what a governor should be aspiring to do, is to ensure that people are able to live their lives as our constitutions allow for. Should I win, I'll have a good portion of the state who won't stand my guts. They'll actually, he's a Republican, hate him. That's the end of that. Got a gentleman out there that can't stand me right now because I was a union member. Well, God bless you, sir. I feel sorry for you. But many of those folks voted for Trump, too. You had a problem with the union in whatever you did to have a problem with the union. Very simplistic process. We can either make changes or we can accept the nonsense. We either want to look for something different or we want to accept mediocrity and failure. Many of you folks out there, and please correct me if I'm wrong, slam it up in the chat if you're on X. If you're on Xden, hell, email me. My name is on my website, Naranjo, 4governor.com. Message me through there. Donate while you can through PayPal or Zelle. Max for an individual, I'll take $2,000. Hell yeah, I'm not an idiot. Let's be for real. This is about money too. This is the plug, by the way. Apologies it's so late. Couples, I think you can go up to $4,000. We'll forego the cheese afterwards. I don't want to have too many bookkeeping problems with nuances. If you're a pack, hell yeah, I'll talk to you too. Make sure you're the right pack. Make sure you're a legitimate pack. And please understand the concept. Are you willing to donate to my campaign? I hope so. Am I willing to sign a blank check contract with you that says I will not talk about certain things unless you allow them to be talked about, or you encourage me to endorse or support, or you encourage me to not endorse and support? If that's what it's going to take to accept your $50, $100 million donation, let me spare you the time. Don't bother. Because I'm going to hit you with a contract as well. Your donation to me is with no strings attached, period. What does that mean, Leo? No strings attached. You're donating like everybody else with no strings attached. If it's a concept that I'm not agreeable with, I'm going to argue it or argue against it. If it's something I agree with that you don't like, I'm going to argue for it. If you don't like it, find the candidate that you want to bully into standing for a position that you want with your contract on getting money from you. But for me, you donate, no strings attached. Leo, that's not playing the game. You're not going to go anywhere. You're probably right. I agree with you. I don't play the game very well. I don't play that game very well. But there are games being played that I'm pretty up to speed in being able to play with you. And one of those games being played right now is how we BS the public into thinking we made a lawsuit that we've never physically nor actually launched, but you folks might believe is true and get sauced up by it. It's not there. For those who want to play games, play this one. I was born in 1962. I served 15 years in the United States Army Military Finance Corps. I spent 10 of my years overseas in Germany, from Rheinberg to Stuttgart to Ludwigsburg to the United States Military Occupation Army of Berlin, West Germany, in the city of Berlin. I volunteered, and at the time didn't realize I volunteered for a combat zone by being sent to the United States Army military mission in Kuwait, Doha, Camp Doha. Stayed there for 4 months. I was assigned to Fort Stewart, Georgia. On my last tour, I ended up being assigned into Fort Dix, New Jersey, in between tours, and I ended there my retirement time for the last 2 or 3 months of my service. 14-year holder of a top-secret clearance. Yes, I've done many things throughout my military career. And in that career, I have earned the following titles and status: Persian Gulf War I vet, World War II vet. Leo, you said you were born in 1962. Yep, I sure did. How did you acquire World War II vet status? That's impossible. You can't be a World War II vet. Yes, I sure am. You have any issues with that? Take it up with the Department of War, no longer the Department of Defense. Army Occupation Medal of Berlin is proudly attached on my row of ribbons as one of the awards that I received while being stationed in Berlin. Always a good talking point. I love that. I even said when I got assigned to Berlin, there's a reason why I'm here. That medal is the reason, and there's stories behind it, and there's a status that goes with it, and I'm going to use the hell out of it. I just don't know when I'll be able to until now. So with that being said, as I leave you to crunch on those numbers, for some of you naysayers, attackers, pundits, and don't like me's, or whoever you are, and you know who you are, because I've seen you play a game, chew on that one. That's virtue signaling. Observation. The visual you can take away with whatever you want to. I don't post out a lot of things for people here or events other than the ones I'm in. And one of those, of course, is the 8th November, Kim Yater, Take Your Power Back, Judges Forum /debate, debate/forum. Excuse me, but there's another one coming up after that, now slated for the 19th of November. A bunch of people showing up there. A few candidates are showing up there. Let me again put this out for the naysayers. You've allowed pretty much somebody who is clowning with Auschwitz, the Holocaust, and tying it in and equating it to a policy to deal with homeless in the state of California. Observation. Jewish newspapers in Israel slammed that individual. The Holocaust Museum slammed that individual. And because of those retorts, because of those remarks, that individual, instead of apologizing and backtracking, doubled down on stupid and ran with it again. I'm not going to that event. I refuse to go to that event, mainly for that individual, plus the fact I was never invited. That was by design, not by accident. Tell me the nonsense that you thought I was contacted. You know damn well I was never contacted. And knowing that that individual with that stance is attending, then my decision is correct. I'm not going to be affiliated with that horse poo-poo at all. But for you folks who are going, take heed. You've been made aware of that person's stance, and you're now acceptable to attending that functionary with his stance present. Guilt by association, I think they call it. Do what you want to do. The optics looks bad, and the perception is worse. With that, I want to end the night. I want to end the day. I want to end the moment in this little video. Sorry it's long and lengthy. View it at your pleasure. Pass it along. Do whatever you do. Have a good night. Have a good evening. My name is Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor of California of 2026. I'm still here, still taking it to those that keep trying to get in my way and prevent me from doing what needs to be done. I haven't given up a fight. Those folks in Isleton figured that out. That gentleman that invited me down there figured that out. And the folks that are trying to encourage me to quit by now have well figured out what's up. Games? Play games all you want. This is not a game. 8th of November has many implications, and you'll identify those afterwards, because there'll be an after-action report. You can bet your sweet one on that. So you guys have a great evening. My website, if you're interested, curious, want to know more about me, Leo Naranjo, the number 4governor.com. Once again, Leo Naranjo, the number 4governor.com. Please donate. PayPal or Zelle, it's right there. Do what you need to do. Help your friends, tell your friends, family, loved ones, and everybody else. Hell, tell people you don't like about me and let that word get out and see if that's the candidate that you want to back. And if not, I understand. But if you do, welcome aboard. As the infantry always say, follow me if you're looking for prosperity. Have a good evening. You guys take care. God bless. We'll talk to you again later.